Welcome to the Lovable Loser Show. I'm here with Ray Dogg.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
Glad to be back. Thank you.
I know. It's always glad to have you on the show. Now, we're going to, obviously from the title of this show, it's called PC versus Fact.
Ooh. Well, hold on now. Who's facts? Because you got to remember, in today's culture, if your facts disagree with mine, I don't want to hear the exchange of ideas. I'll just shut you down. Let's not even worry about the word debate because that no longer exists.
Yeah, well, that's what
okay.
we're here to talk about right now.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what we're here to talk about right now.
Talk about it.
Usually, nowadays, if you disagree with me, I'm just going to yell at you and tell you you're a racist or
Nazi
a bigot,
or something. Yeah.
A fascist or anything
and
like that, man.
You shouldn't have the right to speak your opinion. I got it. Yeah,
come on, man. The debate has just gone to hell. There's no debate anymore, man.
No, there's.
You can give somebody dead facts and they'll be like, no, you're just a, like we said, they're going to call you names, they're going to get angry, they're going to talk, shit to you or whatever. And
well, just to have a debate, from my understanding, is to have an exchange of ideas. You try to win some people over to your side of the argument. Not necessarily you'll do it, but you do it in a calm, collective manner. Because my understanding, and this is really dated and old-fashioned, because I am an older person, is communication should be not emotional. It should just be a statement. You're not trying to fire up
a share
people.
of ideas,
exactly,
which you can convert.
Trying to convert people. Yeah.
The idea is, I think that, in my opinion, is that like you instead of calling out names or anything, you strengthen your argument. Yeah. Know your background on your argument and know what whether you believe it or not is irrelevant coming to facts.
Exactly.
That's my personal opinion.
And that's going back from current ideas now to when we're talking about some type of bathroom debate to even earlier to Civil War or historic places. We name places after people. Yes. Back then, life was different.
It was way
Not
different.
making an excuse for it. Was it wrong? Yes, but you got to remember, if you grew up in that time, how would you know right from wrong?
And that is certain timelines too.
Exactly. I'm not trying to justify what was done back then because atrocities are atrocities. My goodness, they are.
And that is absolutely true.
But let's not get too carried away to say it didn't happen. Okay.
See,
we need to recognize history, the good and the bad, learn from it, and move on.
And see, I think that's where a lot of the stuff comes into, where they're like, people try to ignore the bad history, and that's where we were talking about earlier before we got on air. We were talking about how people will forget history, and it'll repeat itself.
Until what's exactly those that do not remember history are going to repeat it.
They don't acknowledge that it happened.
Exactly, acknowledge it happened, and I think someone like Dave Rubin, who's has a podcast. Used to be with the Young Turks, broke away, has his own thing, but he made a statement saying, hey, you do have the right to free speech, but what you do not have the right to be is offended. There's things in your life you're going to hear that offend you, and guess what? Don't stick your head in the sand. Well, deal with it, learn from it, and confront it with thought, not by shouting louder.
Well, I think that everybody, I'm a little off on that statement right now because I think that everybody has the right to be offended, but the way you express that offense.
That's true. In other words, just because I don't like what you're saying, let's say
doesn't mean
any
Doesn't
subject.
mean you're wrong.
Any subject.
It doesn't mean you're a bigot. It doesn't mean you're a racist.
Exactly.
It just means,
exactly.
I don't like it.
Well, I want to teach my kids about guns. You're a murderer. No, that's not.
We're
not getting to the point.
I 100% agree.
Legal guns, illegal guns, two different.
There's
There's a fulcrum, a very fine fulcrum that balances them on a seesaw.
I actually got into a little bit of an argument with a friend of mine where she was telling me that she was how could you want guns? She was nobody's trying to take your guns.
No,
and
they're not.
You know what? And I was like, well, some guns are trying to, ban. Which I'm not 100. I'm pro gun. I am. I'm pro gun. But I have lines like the whole
3D printers scary, dude.
That is
3D printers are scary.
Well, let me tell you this. We got into the conversation of bump stock. She was like, "Why do you need to fire a gun that rapidly?" I was like, "I 100% agree with you on that. If you cannot hit a target in 1 to 3 shots, then you have a different problem."
But I believe it was a sheriff in Colorado who made the statement. It's about the culture. Back in his day, he would claim you could see guys in high school go into class. After school, they had their shotguns and their rifles in the back of their pickups because they were going to go hunting.
I saw that.
Not people. They were going to go hunting because that was their thing. They weren't going to take out their little microaggressions or whatever they felt suppressed and picked on about. And I know people say bullying is terrible, but at the same time...
And it is.
It is, but at the same time, and I know honestly, my age I am now, and that's my advantage. That's, I guess, our advantage. I could really care less if you want to say something bad about me online. Like I said, my whole dream is to catch you texting and like, oh, hello.
You know what? And
like,
you know what? I'm not trying to go a little
am.
off subject here, but sometimes like I get a bad review or a bad note, like, hey, your show did this. Hey, you know what? Dislike. And I'm like, I get excited, but I'm like, oh my God, somebody disliked my show.
Well, that's the thing too. And you should, because the thing is it a genuine dislike? Is there something I can improve? Anything that you do should be measured, because anything measured can be improved. But people are so scared nowadays.
But it's got to be within reason.
Exactly. But you're hurting my feelings. It's not about feelings. No. If you have a task to do, am I doing that task? Am I meeting the standard? Has there been a standard set? Am I meeting that standard?
Yeah.
Am I achieving? Am I going over the standard? And if not, I need to know, because guess not. If you don't tell me anything, it's saying, hey, you're doing great. Like they tell those kids on like American Idol, Americans Got Talent, where you can sing, babe. Why don't you try out? And they do horrible. No, tell me. I want my worst critics to be within my own little group.
And it would be, and see, the thing about that, it's a very thin line when it comes to stuff like that, because people that are close to you, they could, and not so much close to you, I mean, maybe negative, because some people have that talent in mind where they're like, oh, he's doing something that I would like to do, but I can't, so I'm just going to tell him it's for shit. And I'm going to tell them, you cannot do it.
But at the same time, the counterpoint to that is, they don't sound that good, but I don't want to hurt their feelings. So I'm going to let them go on national TV or in front of strangers and get pummeled. You know, sometimes you need egg on your face. And that saying, if you're always going to meet someone that does something better than you, but learn from it, that's the key.
Well, see, that's what goes back to the whole debate thing when we were talking about, is that, like, some people will... They will take that so negative, they won't see the outline of it, saying like, oh, you know what? Maybe he is right. Nobody sees the other person's opinion anymore. And you're like, you know what? I can improve on that.
And I'm guilty of that myself, because my thing is, if you say, hey, I wanted to tell you this sooner, but what? But 2 years ago, I should have told you. You've been screwing up this way. Like, well, you know what? You should have told me that 2 years ago, because now I've done it for 90 days. It's kind of a habit. Yeah, I'll adjust, and I appreciate your feedback, but now I have to readjust. If I'm screwed, I don't need to know what I'm doing right. I'm not one of those people. I don't need the pat. Because, for example, when you, especially like in employment, if I'm doing something right, well, that's what I call my job.
Yeah,
that's
and
my
that is
job to
true.
do.
I want to know. Me too. I have the same opinion as you. Is that I want to know what I'm doing wrong,
or how can I be more efficient? How can I improve?
But see, that's the difference.
Please help me.
That's the difference. When you tell me that I'm doing something wrong, please have something else in mind.
Well,
like, hey, maybe you should do it this way.
There was a book, and I can't remember the name of the author, but called The Death of Expertise, and he summed it up perfectly. Where someone says, well, when you're wrong, they're getting that mixed up with you're stupid. No, they're not. They're just saying you're incorrect in doing this process or procedure.
And hey, right away, offense takes all like, fuck you. Oh, well, you're wrong. Or you're just being a bigot. Or you're just being a racist.
So one, and the thing is, of course, like I said, the criticism has to be just. So what part of it am I doing wrong? Well, the whole thing. No, there's got to be something I'm doing right. There's got to be a step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At what point am I going? Am I even meeting step 1? No. Okay. So let's figure it out so we can improve on the process. Get it together. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you know my opinion in general. I know people hate it.
Well,
you're not special. You're not special. No one's special. At the end of the day, no one's special. Certain things, yes.
Everybody's unique.
In your family, you're unique. But at a job, we're all cogs in the machine that we have to fill. And no one's special. So tell me what I need to do to adjust to keep the machine running. I don't want to change the machine unless it's to make it improve it. I mean, there's some people that have vision, that are visionaries, that can do things. But let me know what I can do to keep the machine moving more efficiently. I don't want to cog the machine up. I don't want to stop the process.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely.
That's why I love that movie Blade Runner 2049.
Oh my God, Blade Runner 2049 was a great movie.
And if people have seen it, they know there's a part where a guy thinks he's special, and then he finds out
you're not so special. And he did not take it. Yeah, he did not take it like
he just kept rolling. Life
is over.
Oh no, yeah, he just kept rolling.
No, it was good, man. It was a really good movie.
And you know that's the thing, and I'm not blaming a generation because I think it happens in every generation. So people always want to give crap to millennials, dude. I met a lot of millennials, dude. I hope for the future. My future my hope for the future is high because I met a lot.
It is so crazy that you said that because I had the same thought how they group them in, like, because technically I guess I am a millennial. I am a millennial, right? I'm right on the border because I was born in '86. right? So I'm right
Gen
on the
Xer,
border.
aren't you?
I think I'm in the middle. They call it like I'm in. I can't remember the term.
But
they
I know
call
what
it,
you're
but
saying,
you're in
yeah.
the middle of X and Y generation, right? So I grew up in the '90s, late '80s, early '90s. Late '90s. I was in high school by the 2000s, right? So I noticed that my generation does not feel like a lot of the people that are categorized as millennials. We have a different thought. We were growing up a lot different. We had phones, but we didn't have smartphones. You know what I mean? Like
you had your beepers though, didn't you?
We did those fucking beepers that I would put 8008 just to see boob on my fucking beeper. Like, I mean, come on, man. I mean.
But at the same time, are we doing it justice? As we keep saying, don't stereotype, don't categorize people.
This is my opinion on millennials, because you know what, I was reading an article and it was talking about millennials, and it was saying that they are a lot smarter, and they're getting jobs a lot younger. Not all of them, obviously. Not all of them.
Yeah,
but the majority of them, they're getting jobs. They're not having kids as early.
Getting associate's degrees out of high school, which is fantastic.
They are pushing for these things. And you know what? I totally agree with that, because everybody's saying, like, well, fuck, they're eating Tide Pods. They are, but not all of them. That's where the generalization comes in. Because a lot of them...
Everyone has those friends. Like, well, you know what your friend did? Like,
right there. I'm going to eat a Tide Pod. Let's do the condom challenge.
Whereas me, myself, I'm more towards gain, because I think the flavor's more robust.
Yeah, and you know what? And I don't like the generalization, because I agreed with the article saying that, they are not having kids as early as we did. Our generation did. We always had them early, like 17, 18, 19 years old, early 20s, and these.
Well, you're an adult. You're supposed to procreate, make kids, go work in the factory,
and
do
see,
what you want.
That's a generalization that I hate.
It's exactly a generalization.
This. Okay, let me tell you this. I was speaking to one of my friends, and they had told me that they recently got married, and they told me that that they weren't really happy in their relationship. So I had asked this question. I go, why did you get married then? And they go, well, that's what you're supposed to do. And I was like, excuse me? I was shocked.
There's a universal handbook,
exactly. I was so shocked. I was like, you should be getting married if you're really in love with somebody, and shit happens down the line. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
There's plenty of single people out there that are career focused and that might adopt kids, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That answer to me was shocking, because I was like, why would you marry somebody that you're not?
It's culture, and by I mean culture, I don't mean a race. I mean what you grew up in, your environment. That's what I mean by culture.
It is insane out there right now.
It
is insane. Now, the thing when we first started the topic was when you're telling people lies just to make them feel better or whatever. That's the same way I feel about the whole gender thing. Now, the gender, they're doing the same thing with that, and some of these people, I honestly think they do have a problem. Some people, I think, they used to generalize it as they're gonna grow up, and most of the people that were confused about who they liked, like they're a boy and they like other boys, they're gonna grow up to be adult, gays, right? And it's great.
But not to confuse that with pedophiles, because people always throw that category, which is completely
this shit
different.
Just came out. It just came out. Pedo. Man, what the fuck did they call it? It was almost like saying like, hey, that's a condition. You can't help who you like. And it was pedosexuals. Pedosexuals. Yes.
Pedo means children, you know.
Yes,
that, right?
I absolutely know exactly what fucking pedo means. This came out recently in the last couple of weeks, and they've been talking about it, where they're defending it. That is fucking ridiculous, man.
But then again,
and some people, not all people, and it's not that big, but it has been in the news, where they are saying they're in support of it. That is
but you're gonna get
ridiculous.
That. You gotta remember. Here's the thing about free speech. Free speech doesn't necessarily mean it has to be right or sane. That's the difference between free speech and hate speech is a very thin line as well. Because people say well, that's hate speech. That. People are going to disagree. They're going to say what they want to say.
Go ahead.
You know, the world is flat, but how can it be flat if it's hollow? The moon is made out of blue cheese.
You know, it's so funny.
Etc.
I just saw this meme the other day where they were talking about the flat Earth thing, and they had all the planets round, and then Earth was just flat.
Yeah.
I was like, that's ridiculous. But no, they were bringing out about the pedosexuals, and I was just like, how can you even get on board with that? Because you know what? I'm sorry. I'll say I have hate for it, because that is not okay with me at all. I would not even be open to even a slightly idea of it. It's fucking ridiculous.
Well, Mambla was a thing. You know, I think it still is a thing, sadly. Where
what? I'm sorry.
Mambla?
What is that?
Men supporting their love of children. I mean, as in.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
It's an old group. I don't even know if it's around, but then again, we're talking about a one-off. We're not talking about grouping people together. Me personally, I don't care what bathroom you use because I'm the one. You know what category I'm going to fall into? The guy who's running into the bathroom that makes bad decisions at lunch. Because I'm notorious for that. I won't be kicking down whatever stall door I got you to go. Because when it happens, guess what, buddy? There's no stopping it. Like, oh, sorry, you're in the wrong bathroom. Like, no, I'm not. I got to go now. And,
and you know what?
If you think there's any sexual perversion off this, well, stick around. Trust me, that'll definitely be answered.
Let me give you an example of that. The other day, I had to go to the bathroom. I drink a lot of water, man. I require a lot of water. So anyway, I pee a lot. I really do. And I'm not trying to get too vulgar into this, but I went to wash my hands, and the water wasn't running. So I went in. I knocked on the door. I asked if anybody was in the ladies' bathroom. Nobody was in there. I went in there and washed my hands. Was it wrong? That's a very thin line.
Hey man, here's my thing. You gotta go. You gotta go. And I know people want to get into this bathroom thing about saying, hey, well, you know, my thing is this. When you go into a bathroom, you're going to do one of two things, buddy. You know, you're going to do one of two things. You got to go. So as far as the sexuality, like, I want to perform a lewd sex act, then more than likely, I would say, I'm usually a pessimist, but let me just look on the optimistic side. You're going to go to do one of two things in the bathroom. Sexually is not going to be one of them. Because now when I go in there...
I mean, it all depends.
And
I know who you're with.
On the individual. But, you know, usually when you go in your bathroom, you got to handle your business. Whether you're male, female, you identify as both, neither, whatever. Here's the thing. Everyone has to pee and poop. Everyone has to pee and poop.
Yes, but there's a thin line where they were talking about... Well, this was a few years back, before the Trump era. Where they were talking about... I believe it was Obama saying that he wanted to have... genetic males that were transgendered be able to have access to women restrooms.
Well, here's the thing, man. If I'm in a bathroom, let's just say, for example, I'm in a man's bathroom, and a person comes into the stall next to me, identifying as either. I don't care, because you know what? I'm doing my thing. They're doing their thing. So be it. To me, it doesn't bother me. Now, of course, the argument in high schools and everything else, I know that's a whole different thing. And then you get into religious beliefs and values.
There's so many subcategories.
To me,
man.
I think it's more of a big deal than it is. That's just me personally. But, then again, most people I'm going to burn in hell. But to me, there's bigger issues than that stuff right now, man.
Yeah, and you know what?
Whatever bathroom you feel comfortable going in, I don't care. I'm not going to stop you like, what are you doing here? Because
I totally agree.
I know what I'm doing in there. Or two.
I totally agree, but the people that don't go in there for one of two reasons, and that's.
Okay, so then let's go back to legal gun issue or gun issue.
That is the same. That's
a person that buys a gun legally and a person that gets a gun illegally.
Well, see, that was the point that I'm going to make right now. Is that that was the argument that I was having with a friend earlier about that. Is that you're categorizing a whole group of people for a handful of bad issues that
you're
go
trying
along
to go
with
outside
it.
the scope.
Yes.
You're outside your scope. You can't do that.
It's just so generalized that you group everybody in. And I'm guilty of it.
And if you're gonna do that,
so guilty
if we're gonna do that, let's think about people with driver's licenses. How do we know someone's not just gonna take a car and run into a group of people? Some have done it.
You know what?
Some haven't.
You know what? England is a prime example of that. They took Australia as well. They repossessed all their guns, and they had the buyback program, and the whole destruction or whatever. How can you keep track of that? Well, anyway, regardless, so they took the guns away, and now they took last year, I believe they outlawed knives as well because it was knife tax.
What about cars? Vehicles are a hell of a weapon.
Vehicles are a weapon. There can be many weapons that they can use, and anybody that wants to do damage or harm to somebody else, they're
if
gonna
the intent
find a
is
way.
there, it's gonna happen.
And see, the problem is with the intent, not with the actual thing that was doing the act. That's my personal
exactly. It's the action on that person, not so much the way they use it. Mm-hmm. Now, at the same time, there's certain things I do agree with. Should there be an age limit on certain weapons? I think so. Honestly, I know people are going to say, "Oh, you're anti-American." No, that's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. And you know what? I'll be happy to debate as an open talk, open discussion, not not necessarily, I'm talking louder than you, so therefore I am right. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
We're going to loop right back around to what I was saying about bump stocks. I am pro-gun. What I was okay with also was when they were when the whole Florida issue happened, and I was okay with bumping up the age for rifles. I was okay with that.
My thing is this.
I didn't see it infringing on my right.
If you are a good shooter and you've been trained with the weapon, you're a good shooter. You don't necessarily need all the laser sights, multiple weapon, because you know what? You will identify your target. You will identify the target, get your shot, shed the shot, shoot, and take it out.
1 to 3 shots.
That's it.
You don't need a bump stock.
Yeah, I don't need 145 rounds to kill one person. I hate to say this, yes, kill one person.
And
if I got my target set, I'll take that target out.
I love firearms, dude. I love firearms.
And there's nothing wrong with that. My thing is this: I don't see anything wrong with that.
This is the only issue that I had. It was somebody brought up. Well, you know what? It was a high school kid in ROTC shooting firearms there, and they were like they were doing competitions. I think that's okay as long as you're supervised. If they bump up the age, I think it would be okay as long as it's supervised. But I mean, you're not. I wasn't fully matured at 21 either.
Culture, environment that has a lot to do with it, and unfortunately, we can't control how everyone grows up or how the culture.
And you know what? I'm gonna say this. I was actually guilty of misusing a firearm. And I see that now, and now that I'm older, I see the difference, and I'm like, I probably shouldn't have had a gun back then.
To me, a firearm, and in my situation, I'm not a hunter. So to me, a firearm's a tool. If you're going to pull it out, you better be ready to use it. It means because you're really close to using it.
You know what they tell you, and when you get your license to carry, they tell you that it is a last resort.
Yes.
It is a very last resort, and I'm a firm believer of that. If
exactly.
you can get out one... Like, I think you said it before too. You said it before. 1 or 2 guys I'm comfortable with. We can fight them all. I don't need to pull my firearm.
No, I don't.
The only concern I have with that is if they get my firearm off of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But bumping up the age, I have no problem with. Banning bump stocks, I don't see that. I don't see how that is infringing on my Second Amendment right at all.
The bad guys are going to get what they get.
Are they fucking cool? Yeah, it's cool to have a bump stock.
But the bad guys are going to get what they want to get.
Exactly.
That's why it's done illegally. Like I said, the NRA is not a organization that I've always said, oh, well, they're for responsible, but they're for responsible ownership. Hey, teach your kids about guns. If you own a gun, you have children, guess what? Invest the $30, get something to lock it up. Well, that's what I've heard.
Not even that. This is what I do.
So this war in the NRA, I don't really understand.
This is what I get. This is what I do with my kids, and I don't give a shit who the fuck gets offended about this. But I showed my kids what those guns can do. It is not like a video game.
Not a toy.
It is not a toy. It is not for fun in any environment, except for if you're at a firing range and you're doing it properly with headgear. Eye gear and ear gear.
You aim it at a person. There's no reset. It's over.
Yes.
It is over. You're ending that person's
life.
So
I took my children and I showed them, like, look, this is what this gun does.
Yeah.
And I showed them what it does to targets. I've showed them what it does to certain items. And they're like, oh, shit. They're shocked.
It's not like a movie where the hero gets shot in the shoulder like, I'm all right. And they keep running around. Like movies, it's painful.
This is an instrument of self-defense.
Yes. And an instrument of death, basically. It is meant to protect you, your family, your property, and to stop.
Well, looping around back to the conversation I had with a friend of mine. She was upset, and I had told her, I was like, hey, if somebody breaks into your house, what are you going to do? And I didn't expect her to respond like this. And she goes, well, I'm not going to shoot them. So my response was, I don't know what they're going to do. They're breaking into my house. Whether they know I'm there or not, I have my kids back there. And I am not going to let anything happen to them or even get close to them. I am going to fire upon this guy to stop him.
Yeah. The only exception would be like, hey, someone's broke into my house, I smell smoke, and someone's like, you got to get out of here. Get your family, get out. That would be the only exception. But that's a rare exception because, first of all, if someone's already taking those steps to break into your house, there's an intent or they're showing some type of intent. And I know the arguments could be like, well, you're not going to know what their intent is. But you know what? I can suspect what their intent is because you don't break into people's houses.
You do not.
To say, hey, good night. You don't do that.
And that is our debate for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll
let us know how you feel
next time. Ray, you want to say goodbye to the audience?
Goodbye. Let us know how you feel. Thank you. All comments welcome.